Toyota President Akio Toyoda making his first public appearance since the recall crisis began. His company announced today it will set up a new committee on quality control, plus several other announcements, which we are going to discuss right now with Erich Merkle, president of Autoconomy.com. Eric, you are an independent auto analyst. We're looking for some independent analysis here. Based on what you've seen thus far from Akio Toyoda, anything that's going to reassure Toyota customers, existing customers, or prospective customers?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, you've got products that customers now believe are defective. Now, it's a low percentage probability. It's a small portion of the total car population out there. But as far as the customer is concerned, and with everything that's being made over the recall, it might as well be all of them.
You know, Akio Toyoda said that Toyota, the company, should admit any mistakes that were made. Is this a revelation, effectively, from a Japanese company? Because one of the concerns everybody's had is that the disclosure from Toyota just hasn't been all that forthcoming.
Right, and that's what's creating more angst amongst the customers or anyone that might be thinking about buying a Toyota, is the fact that at first it wasn't an issue, then it was the floor mats, and now it's the accelerator pedals on 8 models. And that's what makes this recall so much different than people are comparing, well, other automakers have had recalls. Well, yes, they have, but not quite like this, not where it impacts 8 models over the period of 4 or 5 years. Then on top of that, you come back and you say, well, the Prius now has a braking issue, and we're not sure whether or not it's going to require a recall. Customers don't know if Toyota knows, and so if Toyota doesn't know, customers really don't know what to make of that, and that's very damaging for them.
Eric, to what extent can you quantify what this could have on Toyota's bottom line? I mean, yesterday they came out in an effort to reassure investors and gave particular details on their financials, which seemed optimistic.
Yes, it seemed optimistic, but keep in mind, Toyota has a tremendous amount of cash on their side. So even though this is going to be a very costly error, it's still going. They still have a tremendous amount of cash at the company, and they can afford to weather through something like this. But I think longer term, though, if you look at a Toyota and the way that people buy Toyotas because for the safety, reliability, and quality of that vehicle. And that is really their competitive differentiator. It has been their competitive differentiator. If, for whatever reason, if in the mind of the consumer that is no longer true, or that falls into question, it becomes a much more difficult selling proposition for Toyota going forward.
Eric, very briefly, Akio Toyoda declined to say today if Toyota withheld safety information. If, in fact, it did withhold safety information, that could be established. What would that mean to Toyota here in the United States?
Well, then you've got a real problem, because now it gets into instead of a mistake, it becomes more of really a trust factor. And, Toyota has, for instance, this year they have a new minivan right now, the new Sienna, that's just hitting the market. And if there's a trust factor, this isn't part of the recall. The new minivan is not part of the recall. But if trust becomes a question in the mind of the consumer, you've got a minivan out there that you put what? Family in. So a lot of these things from a perception perspective are going to be very damaging for them if that is in fact the case.
So Eric, do we see Nissan and Honda gain more than, say, a U.S. automaker if we're talking about market share?
Well, I think certainly Honda is one of the more cross-shop brands out there with Toyota. And, it's funny because we didn't really see that so much in the January numbers. I guess we'll have to go forward and look at February and March to see if Honda takes more. But Ford did an incredible job. And Ford continues to take market share. The other one is, if you look at Hyundai, Hyundai is really gunning hard right now to get what Toyota and Honda have here in the United States.
Okay.
So expect them to be very aggressive in this as well.